Hey everybody, Pat Palmer, the computer guy here from Hampton, Iowa, and welcome to another edition of Pat's on Periscope tonight for our date, and Hershey has to say hello, and for our date tonight of July 6th, 2015. Glad to have you along with us today. Like I promised earlier today in our promo, we're going to talk about several things today, tech, and then social media, and also we're going to talk a little bit about hoaxes. So anyway, we want to welcome everybody back from the big 4th of July holiday. Hope everybody had a successful time. You didn't light fireworks off your head. Unfortunately, the guy died who did that, but you knew that was going to happen sometime because there just always has to be somebody who has to do something different like that. And I've never had the urge to light a firework off my head before. So anyway, he did it, and it didn't turn out too well. So anyway, I knew I needed some time off. My Facebook posts were getting all mixed up. I said that one morning I woke up with my eyes swollen shut, and I'm at shut. And then I was looking on TV for something to watch. I said it's going to be between Forrest Gump and Swallow Hal. And it really wasn't Swallow Hal. It was Shallow Hal. So a couple of people called me up. Hey, you have that on your TV? No. So anyway, it was not Swallow Hal, it was Shallow Hal. And I watched both of them. I watched Forrest Gump until the wife got home. And then, of course, she hates Forrest Gump. And so I had to watch Shallow Hal. I want to talk a little bit about today about some tech things about email. And everybody, of course, back in the day, when you first got your email, your ISP, hello from New Mexico, when you first got your email address, you usually, most everybody went with the ISP, Internet Service Provider's email address. So if you had Quest.com, you had Mediacom, you had Frontier, and I pity anybody who has Frontier email right now. It's so slow. And those types of things. So if you had a Comcast email address, whatever, R-Connect or WillowTree, or back in the day, that's what we had. So, and the smart money now is to convert or to move your email address to one that's non-binding as far as the ISP goes, or Internet Service Provider. So, and I don't take my own advice because I've been on Mediacom's email for eons. But really, I do have a couple of other ones. I do have a Hotmail account, and I do have a Gmail account since I got my phone. So what we really should do is convert the email over to a Gmail account or to an Outlook.com account. I know that with Windows 8 and with, of course, Windows 10 and some of those things, people are going to be needing more login authority and account-wise set up through Microsoft, so that may be the way to go on that. Maybe some people don't like Microsoft, so they're going to go with a Google login. For the Apple folks, maybe they have to have a special Apple login as well too. But really, my wife converted a couple of years ago, and it really is more of a process than you might think. Of course, if you have your own domain like thecomputerguy.bz, maybe you'll just stick with that, and that would be the smartest, is your own domain. So if you do have your own website and your own email domain, you may want to keep that, or you may want to switch to a Gmail or an Outlook.com address. Again, depends on what you want to do. I know with our Android phones, a lot of people are going with Gmail, and of course Windows 8, Windows 10, and that sort of thing. And now registering any Microsoft product, like your Microsoft Office or anything like that, then of course it is Bill Gates. It is something you want to do. So, but there's a planning process. If you just dump out of your current email and your current email address, think of all the accounts that you may have tied to it. You may have a PayPal account tied to it, and that takes a little bit to get a new PayPal email address established. You may have eBay, and that's, of course, another set of hoops. Facebook even has a set of hoops to jump through as far as switching email addresses, because, of course, everybody these days is worried about fraud. So you want to take your time. This should not be a rash decision. If you're moving from one internet service provider to another, possibly give yourself a month or a month and a half, 2 months to to acclimate people to this. Set up an outgoing message in your outbox that says, I've switched emails. Here's my new email address, and send that to everybody that sends you a new email. And then at some point in time, you're just going to have to cut it off. And so that's what the wife did at a certain point in time. She had she wanted a more professional email address. She had Looney Bin or something like that for Yahoo. I see a lot of people with are trying to get jobs, and of course on their resumes it's Big Ben 69 and at yahoo.com or some goofy email addresses like that, and that aren't really that professional. I know I give those out as jokes whenever I answer telemarketing calls going down the highway. I'll give them some goofy email address. Chad, if you're out there, maybe you remember a certain email address I gave a certain telemarketer. Anyway, it's spelled TOOLGT number 2QT at yahoo.com, and she says, too legit to quit? Yeah. So anyway, something like that, or something funnier. So anyway, that's what we're talking about today, is switching email addresses, and then getting those all re-registered with your new services that you're going to get. So if you've had a PayPal account forever, or any of your logins, if you log in any newspaper sites, if you log in any other web-based things, banking, of course, is something you have to think about, because they just don't want people changing email addresses willy-nilly because there's some sort of a security thing you have to jump through in a few hoops. They want to know that you are you, and that's cool, because you certainly don't want to have somebody else who's not you, like whoever keeps hijacking my damn Starbucks card is not me. And I've gone through Starbucks 4 times. I've gone through 4 Starbucks. I don't even like coffee, and I've got like $45 in the Starbucks card that I get for reviewing websites or for trying out products or whatever. They said, we'll send you $10 in Starbucks. Okay. And now I've gotten my Starbucks card hacked 4 times, and all I ever drink there is hot chocolate. So that's the story on Starbucks, and that's a side note. So anyway, that's what we're talking about today as far as tech. We want to make sure that you take a good month and a half, 2 months, when you decide to switch emails to a generic or a standard email address that's not tied to an internet service provider. So go with Outlook.com, Hotmail, or Gmail or Apple, something like that, instead of your ISP like Mediacom or Frontier, CenturyLink, or Q.com. Next up, we're going to talk about farming. Farming on Facebook. Remember back in the old days when Facebook first came out and everybody had a farm? And I know my wife had a farm, and she farmed a lot. And of course, she grew up on a farm. And her dad came to town one day and she says, I heard you are farming now. And so my wife says, yeah, it's on Facebook. He says, well, you never wanted to milk the cows. And so anyway, she says, well, that's a different kind of farming. What I'm talking about right now with farming is a lot of things I'm seeing, especially from other technicians who have business Facebook pages. And this is what I would call a link farm. All a lot of these people are doing is posting link after link, maybe 2 or 3 links a day, and some of it's topical. You have a new thing about some security deal, or going to Windows 10, or some of these new tech things. But there's no interaction. There is a link, and that is it. Nothing else. No explanation of here's what I would do, or how are you doing this, or here's some advice for my people who are wanting to convert to Windows 10. There's nothing. There's this link after link after link, and then they're going, wonder why nobody's liking my page, or I'm not getting any interaction or engagement with any of the people who follow my page. Maybe nobody follows it. Maybe they just like it to like it, then they hit unfollow and nobody gets the message. You can see how many people like various things on your insights, and if you're getting really low interaction with other people, maybe it's time to stop just posting all those stupid links and actually interacting with the people who you want to do business with. And after all, that's kind of what you want to do, isn't it? If you have a business page, you certainly want to have people interact with your business page, and they're not going to be doing that if all they see is just a link farm there with nothing but endless links. If they want a news service, they can subscribe to any of those directly from, TechNibble or TechCrunch or some of the technical websites that are already out there. They don't need to have a third party spew this stuff out without any interaction. Even the big boys. I saw a post from Geek Squad the other day, and they even had interaction when they were posting things. So, again, don't just create yourself a link farm. Actually, create content so people can interact. We talk about videos on my page. It's at Pat the Computer Guy. You might want to look that up. Might want to be friends. Might want to like it. Might want to follow it. I do offer some advice. Of course, we have the Monday morning memo every Monday morning, so you may want to check that out. But don't create a link farm. I know my friend Sarah from Social Sarah B, Sarah Connections. She says social media is not a dumping ground. Don't make your business page just a dumping ground for stupid links. Anybody can get these links that are from any of the tech pages. It's nothing special if you don't add anything to it. Well, thank you, Sarah. And it's nothing special if you don't add anything to it. It's got to be your special sauce that makes the tacos. And so anyway, what I'm saying is that when I constantly see, and my competitors do it all the time because they evidently don't know what else to do. So they're just posting, here's a link, here's a link, here's a link. Windows, here's what you want to do on Windows 10. Here's what you want to do in password security. And they don't even explain it. They just put a link out there. I like to engage with my audience that comes to my Facebook page because I think it's a nice thing that the people actually do like my page. So anyway, if they've taken the time to like the page, then give them something to like. So anyway, give them some content, give them something to take away from the page that says, I actually got something out of that this week. So anyway, do that, and you'll have more interaction on your page. Finally, we want to talk a little bit about my buddy Andy Griffith. Poor old Andy. He's had a heck of a life. He's died twice now. He died back in 2012, and everybody said he died this weekend. And the weird thing about Andy Griffith, and if you like comedy, I mean, Andy had the down home, corn pone comedy. He didn't drop the F-bomb, didn't have to. It was back in the days when being funny was really just being funny. The Newharts and even some of Rodney Dangerfield stuff that didn't have to always drop the F-bomb to be funny. Andy Griffith was no Andrew Dice Clay, that's for sure. But anyway, he was, of course, got a start, I think back in about 55. He did a record that's called What It Was Football. And he described this thing. Then there was this team, and there was this other team, and they run up and down the field chasing this oblong ball. Anyway, what it was football. And that was his big break, if you ever study the history of Andy Griffith. Well, anyway, Andy Griffith, of course, born in North Carolina, and that's kind of where Mayberry was set out. And what happened was Andy Griffith died July 3rd, 2012. Now, the weird thing about Andy Griffith dying was he was buried 5 hours after he died. Just quick. And I know a lot of people with the 4th of July holiday missed it. They just missed. Sometimes you miss things like that in the news. You don't see it. You're out shooting fireworks off the top of your head, having all sorts of fun. And sometimes you just miss, they died, And so anyway, they come back this weekend and they resurrect Andy Griffith, and he died again. So he's suffering from Rue McClanahan syndrome from the Golden Girls. I think about every couple of years he's going to die again. Here's what I think is happening. In your Facebook feed, a lot of people are not clicking most recent, and they're clicking top stories. And so if a top story is resurrected by a news agency or by a bunch of friends, you may see a bunch of top stories, and a top story over the weekend was going to be Andy Griffith died. And a bunch of people saying, oh my God, rest in peace, Andy Griffith, rest in peace, rest in peace. And really, if you switch your setting to most recent, you may not see a lot of those reoccurring stories. So again, we're certainly sad that Andy Griffith died. but he died 3 years ago, and he was buried 5 hours after he died. He had his own private island just off North Carolina, because I guess when you're Sheriff Andy Taylor, you can have some of that. You know, a funny thing, a little bit about Andy Griffith's show. There was only one person on the Andy Griffith Show that was married, and because Aunt Bee was single, and Opie was single, and Andy was single, and Barney was single, and Helen Crump was single. The only person that was married was Otis, and he was drunk all the time. So anyway, that's a little bit about our Periscope tonight. It's Pat's on Periscope every Monday night at 8 o'clock Central Time. We're glad you stopped by today. And anyway, again, to just rehash what we talked about emails, and making sure that you, if you're going to switch emails to maybe like a google.com or an outlook.com, give yourself about a good 2 months lead time on that to let everybody know you've changed emails. Get your banking emails all situated, your Amazon account, your eBay account, PayPal account, whatever. Those are just some of the accounts I can think of right now. And your banking, of course. Make sure those are all set. And then do an outgoing message. So if somebody emails you at your old address, they get an email back, and your email gets forwarded to your new address, letting them know that you changed email addresses and that you don't miss your email. So certainly don't want to miss that. Make sure you give your ISP some notice that you may want to keep a hold of that email address for a while, and certainly be able to keep a hold of that just to check in for a while. Then when you're done with it, you're done with it. Again, farming on Facebook, we want to make sure we keep our links freshened up. We don't want to have just links posted with no interaction with our audience. We want to make sure we are talking back and forth and creating the discussion, and that builds a bigger insight rating, and also helps interact with your potential customers, and that's what your Facebook business page should be about. And again, we're rounding things off with making sure that you're setting your settings on most recent and not top posts on your Facebook page, or every July 3rd we're going to have Andy Griffith die again, and we don't want that. So anyway, he's been through enough. That's what's going on this week with the Computer Guy from Hampton, Iowa. I'm glad you stopped by on Pat's on Periscope this Monday night at 8 o'clock, and we'll see you next week.